So the England squad has finally been announced for the Test series against Tonga this weekend. We're going to take a look at the full squad and then maybe take a look at a few decisions that have been made. Let's get started. So the England squad includes Matty Ashton, John Bateman, Tom Burgess, Daryl Clark, Ben Currie, Tyler Dupree, Liam Farrell, Chris Hill, Tom Johnstone, Toby King, Morgan Knowles, Matty Lees, Mikey Lewis, Tommy Makinson, Mike McMeeken, Robbie Mulhern, Harry Newman, Victor Radley, Harry Smith, Danny Walker, Jack Welsby, Elliot Whitehead, George Williams, and Dom Young. The first player that I want to highlight in this video is Danny Walker. Now, I'm being a little bit selfish here. I am a Wire fan, but I want to focus on him as a player, especially this year. So there was a certain point in the season where Daryl Clark was out. He was out injured, and Danny Walker really had to step up. And since then, he's never really been taken out the squad. There's maybe been 1 or 2 games where Clark started over him, but I think Danny Walker's not been given much praise here. A lot of the focus is on Andy Ackers, and that's completely understandable. But I think one of the criticisms of Sean Wayne during the World Cup squad selection was the fact that there was no Daryl Clark, there was no Cruz Leeming. Given how strong they were last season, even Daryl Clark in a Paul Warrington team, you still wouldn't not select Daryl Clark, surely. But Danny Walker this season has really been leading by example. He's improved his game a lot. His kicking game is also an element that he's had to his game the last few years. You know, he's kind of a very basic hooker. Pick the ball up and pass. That was kind of his game. Weren't too many runs at the line, but that's really evolved over time, and probably working with Daryl Clark has helped with that. He was a master at that for a very, very long time. So Danny Walker's picked up on a few things, and he's now the number 9 for Warrington Wolves. Now that Daryl Clark's moving on, he's taking on that burden of the number 9 jersey. So I can completely understand if Danny Walker starts, and I also understand the selection of Daryl Clark in this squad as well. Andy Ackers would make sense, but for me, Daryl Clark and Danny Walker, even being unbiased as a Wire fan, makes complete sense to me and should actually make sense to everybody else, if I'm honest. Staying with the forwards at the moment, we have Robbie Mulhern in the squad selection. I am not a big fan of changing nations. It's happened so much with Tonga, with Samoa, with New Zealand, with Cook Islands. It's happened so many times over the years. It gets on my nerves. Robbie Mulhern, as great as he's been this year, is an Ireland international. He played for Ireland a year ago. Are we really doing this? Toby King was an Ireland international. Are we really doing this? Now, I'm happy that they're in the squad. What I want from them now is to not change allegiance again. They should be locked into England for the rest of their careers at this point. But on them as players, Robbie Mulhern, again, at Warrington last year, I'm not going to keep harping on about them, but didn't really look too effective. He ran hard, he worked hard. There were some dodgy efforts in defence here and there, but since moving to the Leopards, he's been, as I said for Danny Walker, leading by example, and they really needed a big boost in the forward pack. I didn't know whether they'd have enough. I knew that they had some pieces in Lachlan Lamb, Edwin Aparpe. I knew that they had pieces in that team to be effective, but in the way that they've led in the forwards and in the backs, Robbie Mulhern is a testament to how strong good coaching can be and how a good work ethic and team chemistry can be. Partnered with him in the forwards as well is Tyler Dupree. He made the switch from Salford Red Devils to the Wigan Warriors and came up with a Super League trophy at the end of the season. I think he's quite an impressive young player, makes good meters, seems to work hard through the middle as well. I would say no Alex Walmsley for this squad overall is going to be a big miss. I'm unsure of the situation why he hasn't been selected right now. I don't know if it's due to injury or he retired from international. I personally do not know, so please educate me if there's a reason why he hasn't been selected. But looking at the forward pack, it seems strong enough. There isn't too much I would change about the forwards or even the backs. There's not that many changes I would make, but there are probably a few. Namely, there's no Herbie Farnworth. It's possible he's just being rested after this NRL season. So Herbie Farnworth definitely would have been a selection for me. Jake Wardle also would have been someone I'd be looking at. And somebody like Johnny Lomax. I know At this stage, some people are a little bit 50-50 about him, but if you want leadership and you want someone that's been working well in a system for the past few years, Johnny Lomax makes complete sense to me. And I think on the highest stage internationally, someone of his quality is massively important. So I can give or take Johnny Lomax just because I think we've done relatively well without him the past few years. So I'm actually okay with that, but it would be nice to still see him because I think I feel more confident about the team with Johnny Lomax in there. So as of right now, the 6 and 7 is going to be Mikey Lewis and Harry Smith from what I can tell, given that George Williams is going to be out for at least the first 2 games. As of right now, Mikey Lewis will take the number 6 jersey, which is exciting to see. It's a new talent coming through, some younger English players coming through, so that's exciting to see. I would say that my biggest concern with the 3 players that we can have in the halves, in Harry Smith, Mikey Lewis and George Williams, they all play down the left-hand side. And of course, Hull KR fans can correct me on that one with Mikey Lewis. But typically, when a player is competent on one side and not so competent on the other, it's difficult to make that switch. George Williams played on the right-hand side for the first half of the season for Warrington and was not good. He was just not good. When he made the switch to the left-hand side, that's when he started being recognised again. And that's what allowed him to make the World Cup squad last season, because he was performing to his usual standard. But down the right-hand side, he just went missing. It was some awful performances. Harry Smith plays down the left, given he's left-footed. George Williams is more comfortable on the left, so he's going to play on the right. He might have to. Mikey Lewis, does he play down the right-hand side often for Hull KR? I don't think so. But of course, the professionals, Sean Wayne, can coach him however he wants to coach him, and can hopefully get him used to playing down both sides. And that's something that we would need for more international games going forwards, is both of our halves knowing how to play both sides of the field. Typically right now in Super League, a lot of them just stick to one side or the other, but having them able to move is probably the most important thing for the future. So that's going to be it for this video. If you have any thoughts on who you would have brought in, who you would have left out, let me know in the comments down below. Are you happy with this squad? What would your starting 13 be? Do let me know. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.